Yo, 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 welcome to the Living for a Living podcast. I'm your host, Joey Bradley, and today's guest is kind of special in a way because all my past guests so far I've known to a certain degree, and I didn't know this guy until basically I got into the podcast game, and he was a big inspiration in that. He's a former collegiate hooper who recently just graduated from Azusa Pacific. And me and him bond on multiple levels, especially kind of not going with the status quo, kind of doing your own thing out of college and enjoying it. He's also the founder and host of the Flow Station podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts to listen to right now. So definitely check that out. Without any further ado, my guy, our guest, Will Ferris.
When the world feels uncomfortable, but now making something from
the little slogan thing,
like to tap into, like to talk to people who I forget whatever it is. It's fucking good.
I appreciate it, man.
And I'm so because like the whole goal with this, living for a living, is
I like that a lot.
I want to just kind of give people a little platform to tell their story.
Living for a living,
their life.
I always thought that was dope. Even when I saw your name on Instagram, because Tim would repost your videos, I was like, dude, that's a sick ass name. Even like Glenn Dean's name.
I like your trainer.
I like that too. And when he came on mine, I was like, bro, you got to keep that. And he's like, nah, man, I want to change it for the brand. I was like, all right, bro, I'm going to take that name there. Or something. I was goofing with him.
Yeah.
But living for a living, sick, dude. Yeah. Even like, was that your boy that says it? Because I think I watched one of your YouTube videos. It was like, living for a living or something.
Dude, yeah.
I feel like that's dope, bro.
So, no, it's because I forget what I used to, like my Instagram name used to just be like Joey B or something. But then my first little line on my bio was living for a living.
Got you.
And someone said it was cool. They saw it. It's cool. So I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'm trying to get a little personal brand going right now. Like, let me change that to that.
It's great.
And then when I was working out in Florida with the Combine guys, a few of them, I follow them, they follow me back. And then the next day they're coming in, and the one dude specifically, Andrew Williams, Juice, he's like, hey, living for a living, what's up, baby? And I had like 3 or 4 dudes who like within the day or week of me meeting them and they following each other were like, living for a living, baby. And so I was like, ooh, there's something to it.
Oh, yeah, it sticks to my head, too.
There's something to it. And so I'm a big Gary Vee guy.
Okay.
And Gary Vee's been, like, at this time, he was, like, super big on his little, like, audio, like, in the very beginning of all his videos is, like, a little, like, whoop, like, little snap sound. And it's audio branding or, I think, logo or something. And he said, like, that's, like, a big thing.
I might need to tap into that.
And so I was like, And then this other video editor in Orlando that I met, who's dope, this dude named Nick, and his name is Nick in the Cut. And his little thing, it would like be like a little like 3 knocks, and it'd be like, hey, yo, where Nick at? He out there in the cut. Because he does a lot of like high school basketball stuff, and so he's like super into that scene. So he followed some guys' documentaries, and so I saw him with that, and I was like, I already kind of had the idea too with Gary Vee, and I was like, oh, I got to do something. So like that week I was like, yo, Juice, can I just film you like saying living for a living? And he's like, all right, bro, and so he goes, hey, I'll show you the original clip at some point. He's like, hey, living for a living, baby. How you doing? And I was like, perfect.
No, it's great, dude. Because actually I might need to tap into that because it actually works. Because for your videos, like I know it's yours now.
Yeah, just that one little thing. Although, bro, you have the good music.
That's actually my boy made it for me, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to say, because that, like, when it comes on and intro outro, it's like it's almost your own version of that.
It is true.
I totally tap into it.
Then that's good to hear. Yeah,
but even just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been rolling with that. He sent that to me. He makes great music. I've always been like a big supporter. I was like, hey man, like could you send me some just beats you don't use or something like that? And that was the one I was like, bro, this is money. Just like kind of inspirational but still chill.
Yeah.
So that's been the one.
How'd you like come up with your little slogan?
the trying to assist you to tap in your unique flow, the little intro I do.
Yeah.
What's funny is like, so Brian Clay, he went to the university I ended up at, Azusa Pacific. He's like a world famous decathlete. He won the gold for USA. And I got linked with him, and he's like a pretty savvy businessman. And he was supposed to come on the podcast. And so we had started discussing like certain ways that he was actually just offering me advice to help build the podcast.
Oh, sweet.
And he's like, well, I see your bio's a little bit, I kept my bio the way it was, because I don't know. I didn't want to have like a big slogan in the bio. I just wanted something clean, put it out there. But the thing that stuck with me is he was like, you need something more concise. Like, what is your podcast about in 1 or 2 sentences?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's right. Like, what is, because I had a full paragraph of what I wanted to mean and what I wanted people to tap in from it. And I was like, dude, this is just too much. It's too much. And so I, finally just came up with, my journey has led me to believe in myself that I've wanted to create flow for me and other people. And I feel like that's some of the biggest impact you can have, because there's so much that comes into that, which is why I felt like it was easy to make it concise.
Yeah.
And like, what is flow? How do you get into flow? And that takes a lot of self-awareness, a lot of inner journey.
Yeah.
That I felt like that slogan kind of encapsulated everything I wanted to be about.
That's sick. Yeah, that's like mine is in the same way. As like I'm trying to figure out, because my whole kind of idea, like I've said, is like to basically like let everyone tell a story from, I feel like through my travels now and adventures and whatever, like I have a pretty eclectic group of people from, a 10-year NBA vet to like, one of my best friends is from Nepal and like grew up in a little shack and now is like made like sends money back home to his parents while he's living in Europe, like, like every walk of life. And so just being able to tell people's stories, because like, and as you can see, I need to break it down because this is how I explain it.
Yeah.
Because when you have a conversation with someone that's different, you realize, shit, we're really similar actually.
Yeah.
And then that breeds to understanding. And, ignorance is essentially just lack of understanding. And so in our world right now that's just so fucking divisive. Yeah. Like, if I can be a weird little, like, mediator of, like, hey, today we're talking with, in Spain, this girl, some weird thing that someone had never even thought of, then it can, I hopefully make people, like, realize, like, just like me. I think the same kind of thing in a way.
When I saw your Instagram name and just like that brand in general, to me it was like, all right, what does it mean to be alive? Yeah. And what does living actually mean? Living for a living. Yeah. And I think we get so attached to external things and consumerism and different challenges we want to overcome and to achieve, that we forget to just live. And like, what does that mean? For me, that's kind of what I took from it, just off of reading it. So I think, I don't know, man, you could kind of toy with that. Like, you're talking to all these different people, but it like, what's it mean to be alive in that sense? Ooh. So I don't know. That's pretty cool. For
sure. If giving me a little chills with that one. So I know that's a good one, dude.
No, I like that. That's what I took from just reading your thing. So
yeah. And now that you said that, like, I'm curious to know what other people like think, when they see it or hear it, because like my initial reason for it was after graduation, and I graduated college a couple years later than all my other like friends from high school because of transferring a few times and stuff. And so, you get back home and you're out, and it's like everyone's favorite, oh, well, what do you do for a living? Yeah. Oh, what do you do? What do you do for a living? And I was saying, I play American football or da-da-da, and that's a good story too. But then people get so
kind of the easy way out,
almost. But people get so like attached to what they do for money, because that's what it is. What they do for money, and that like can become their identity in a way. And really, when people ask like, what do you do for a living? I think this is an Instagram thing I stole, is like, they're like asking, how much respect should I give you?
Yeah.
Kind of, like, what do you do for, how much should I be respecting you in a way? It always comes in a weird, I don't know, at least in my experience, when people ask me that, it's always in a kind of pointed, like, comparative way.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I technically don't play football for, it's like, fuck it, bro, I'm living for a living. Yeah.
No, I'm definitely experienced that, bro. Like, when you're playing college sports, it's very easy. It's like, oh, I just play college sports.
Yeah.
Nobody asks any more questions.
Yeah.
Now it's like, all right, what do you do? I don't really have a job yet. I do a podcast,
Yeah.
coach some like little 8th grade hoops. Yeah. It's still tough. I think once you get over that, though, you're closer to being your most unique self, because you don't really care what they perceive you as.
For sure.
If you're in that bliss of like what you're doing, doesn't really matter. Like their perception of you doesn't really matter. So that's why I think that branding's dope.
Thank you. Yeah, that hit it on the head. Is like, I'm still at that point too, where it's like, I just don't care. Like we talked about.
That was my favorite thing.
Was like, I just don't really care. I mean, I do. It's like polar.
Yeah.
Completely
you got to care a
polar.
little bit, but at the same time, that was one big takeaway for me to hear that, because you're like, yeah, man. Half the year people think I'm dope. half the other year people think I'm just like a bummy guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, it's funny, man. Like how we do get so easily attached to that, to our like brand externally.
Yeah.
That we forget to just enjoy where we're at, even if it doesn't look great on the external. Like you probably have a great time, bro. Like where we're at right now, when I drove up, I was like, wow. And if you were stuck in like, damn, I'm just delivering pizzas right now. Like you're selling yourself short in a sense of like living for a living. Yeah,
no, and I mean I've tried to encapsulate that. Like, dude, I joke around that I'm not delivering pizza, man. I'm delivering happiness.
That's deep.
Like, and it, especially, and again, like if I'm doing it 6 days a week, 8 hours a day,
right?
Probably not getting that. But when it's 2 times a week,
I feel that. Just like something to do.
It's like I show up like kind of pumped on it. I almost feel bad because the people that work there all the time aren't as stoked on it. Obviously, we got a cool group of people there, and I was like, yeah, bro. I'm like, if I go into I'm delivering happiness today.
I love
and
it.
then kind of the second thing was like, you deliver to some old people sometimes, like in Providence Point. You deliver to maybe like a stay-at-home mom or something, or even like a business guy or whatever. And for them, maybe like I might be the only like positive, friendly person that they've gotten to deal with in that day. Yeah. And so it's like I'm trying, I'm like almost crazy. I feel like trying to make that little minute to 5 minute interaction as fun as possible.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not there all the time, but like going in with that mindset,
I love that, yeah.
It's like shit. Then when I get a big tip, it's like, oh, dang, that's even better.
So that actually kind of reminds me of my brother. He went to some trivia night thing the other night, and some lady was there that I had gone out to dinner with a week ago.
Okay.
And
like a date or
no. It was like some fundraiser.
Oh, okay.
For some like suicide prevention deal. It was some fundraiser my mom took me to. And she was sitting by me. I was just like, oh, how's your day going? Just a general question that I was curious to know.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. I just was kind of trying to have a good conversation at the dinner table. That's not like some external, like actually try to be curious into, what's going on in her life. And she tells my brother like, oh, your brother's the nicest man in the world. Like nobody asks you how your day is. And I'm like, what?
I know.
Who doesn't ask that? But in a way that you actually care. So
True.
I don't think we can undervalue those little experiences. So like you delivering happiness, having that framework, you have no idea the impact you could make, just at a very deep level.
Yeah, and I've gotten that same, like when I'm going through the line at Chipotle or whatever, it's like, hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
And some people are in like robot mode where they're just
phone mode.
They're, and even the workers are like, white or brown rice.
Yeah.
After I say, hey, how's your day going? I go, brown rice, please. But hey, how's your day going? I'll ask again. And then you see like the wheels turn of like, oh, I'm being acknowledged as a human.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm actually real.
Yeah, and I'm not just this rice robot, like
That's deep, man.
and so that's been something I've always kind of been that way too, but my one buddy that I played with in Portugal that I've talked to, he's had an influence on that as well. But man, let's to kind of get into the theme of everything. Like I want to know a little bit more about your story.
Yeah.
And so, I know you're from, and this is like, you're one of the first people that I don't know the story,
Yeah.
in a way. And so like you always grew up around, you went to Newport?
Yeah. Went to Newport High School.
Grew up same area your whole life?
Yeah, man. Had a unique upbringing that I've kind of tapped into more so now. Went to a Spanish immersion elementary school. So spoke Spanish growing up. And
Here?
Yeah, actually near Newport High School.
Okay.
So it's called Puesta del Sol.
Okay.
Actually, Jeremy Taiwo went there as well.
I don't know how.
Olympic decathlete. I think he works out at Tim's sometimes.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. But yeah, I think that always opened up my awareness in a way that I didn't even realize. Like I saw the world a little bit differently.
For sure.
That's
eventually I want to talk about second language. I speak Portuguese not well, and my Spanish now is very shitty, but
yeah. No, I definitely think it opens you up in a way that you don't even realize.
Totally. And your parents, like that was your parents' idea, obviously.
Yeah, they just threw us in it.
Like,
luckily.
They speak Spanish?
No.
They're just like, our kids are
we're going there.
Sick.
And I still go back there, dude, because it's just such a cool atmosphere, man. It's all outdoor pretty much.
Okay.
Just an awesome place to have gone to school, and the teachers love you so much because that's their language, and they're just there to teach Spanish. Every subject's in Spanish.
So whole day is Spanish.
All Spanish.
Whoa.
Learned writing, math, history, all in Spanish, and the teachers care about you because it's like they're brought in from different countries to teach this, and so they love it, man.
Bro, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, man. So they've done studies on our classes around the country. There's a couple other schools. And most of those kids are like either leaders or super successful in different ways, or like, run for class president. So it's been cool, man. I don't think I'm as good at Spanish now because I've been pretty far removed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of.
You definitely got to come visit Barcelona then.
Oh,
bro.
yeah, dude. I'm down.
Yeah.
I got to travel.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But, yeah, man, always loved sports. I was kind of I don't know, looking back, this is kind of weird, but I had this crazy imagination. I could play any sport in my mind and go outside, like hit pine cones for like hours with like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Or I could go throw a football in the air and just go on a trail run and juke out trees.
Okay.
And just dominate them. Or hoop, and I could just envision all these different guys, and I just love that aspect of sport. But basketball became, the center focus early, like 5th grade. I'm like, I'm going to the NBA. And I was very good early. And most kids who are good early, kind of fall off. Mm-hmm. But I would say my love for it, that creative flow for it, got kind of lost very early because I did identify as that. Like if the teachers asked me what I did on the weekend, I was playing basketball.
Gotcha.
That was kind of my world. I was like, I think from like 5th grade to high school, I didn't miss a day shooting. I was always shooting, man. Rain or shine, I was out there. And, externally, I mean, back in the day, I probably would have been super proud of that fact, but I think it was more fear-based. It wasn't really out of love anymore. It was like, oh, I'm going to lose my shot.
Oh, if you miss a day. Yeah.
If I miss
You're
a day.
thinking the negative if.
But I'm a little kid, right? Like I'm 6th grade thinking this. So I'm outworking everybody, which is good at some point because I'm getting better and better and better. And, I was probably one of the, better shooters in the state. And that was largely because of that. But also, on the other hand, I lost the enjoyment. And there's a lot of like little anxiety that comes from that because I got to go shoot. Like I would be in Hawaii on vacation. I walked like 3 miles to a court, just burnt. And I'm like, I got to shoot. I got to get my shot.
Dang.
So I don't know, man.
Literally addicted at that point.
Yeah, almost, man. And it wasn't like as free flowing. I mean, I can look back and say that now, but at the same time, it kept me out of a lot of trouble. It gave me direction, and it gave me something to work towards. So like college basketball Division I, that was my goal as a little kid, and I was going to attain that no matter what.
Okay.
And, you know, people would tell me, you know, freshman year of high school, like, oh, you should look at this Division III. I'm like, nope, I'm going Division I. Like, you know, coming up, and I just always had this faith, like, I'm going to go Division I. In my junior year, we played Zach Levine's squad. And so that kind of boosted me. I had like 36 points. And
he went to Bothell, right?
He went to Bothell. Yeah. So we played him a couple times. We actually, his last high school game, he lost to us. So,
nice.
You know, little ego push there.
Little claim to fame.
So I don't know, man.
I'll throw that in the intro.
Yeah, definitely. Living for living. But, you know, getting that, I got my first offer, Division I offer. And I was like, okay, you know, awesome. But did not feel great about it. You know, like it was just kind of like, still I needed that next push, which is very cliche to say, but that was how it was. I lost the creativity, but I just added more work ethic, you know, because that's what people say, you know, work harder.
Yeah.
And then I would say my senior year of high school, definitely developed some anxiety in certain ways, like more like external school anxiety. Go to college freshman year, definitely felt it, but I'm not aware of it.
And that offer you got was Eastern, right?
Eastern Washington.
Where else were you considering? If
Seattle U offered,
okay.
A couple other schools, but Eastern, I had family. We had like a family farm in Cheney, where that school was. So it was like, it felt like I needed to go there.
Okay.
And I loved it. We made the NCAA tournament. A lot of great people that I met there. I'm so glad I went there. But I was dealing with a lot of stuff that mental health wasn't really spoken on, man.
Not
so
at
I just looked at it as like, I need to work harder. I need to change my diet. I just added more work to what I was experiencing. So I don't know. You could probably ask my teammates. I was probably the hardest working redshirt in the country. No doubt about it. Like we'd have practice at 5 a.m. We'd go, I wouldn't get back till like 11 p.m. And then that was just the routine. And I would shoot thousands of shots a day, just extra training. And never, like, man, it wasn't even a question. Like, I was just going to get that work. I like broke my toe in the dorm rooms. I was playing like Xbox, lost in FIFA or something, run out the dorm room, break my toe. And they're like, you should be done with 6 weeks. And I'm like, nah, I'm getting back out there. And I'm going to keep shooting. I'm going to keep going. So I sound crazy, but that's just like how my motor was. Like, I was going to keep working. And then luckily I got hurt and met Dr. Bob, you know, who a lot of people know Dr. Bob. And he really, like, honestly, he probably saved my life because he's like, bro, you got to calm down. Like, you got to slow down or you're going to burn yourself out. So I go through that year and just experiencing a lot of that, you know, and not knowing what it is. And then I remember my sophomore year there. So the first year I played, I'm walking around Portland with my buddy, and we do this mental health test before our game just because we were wasting time.
Okay, like a survey.
It's like
on the street
a long survey. You take this questionnaire. It was for free, so we just did it, and I just scored like super low.
Really?
But I just kind of laughed. I was like, he's like, you should talk to someone, man. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna transfer. You know, that'll fix it. Because that's what in my mind I was like, no, it's just it's the external stuff still. And so I ended up transferring.
And what led to the decision to transfer? Because, bro, you're creeping me out in some ways, because I was at University of North Dakota Big Sky School, and then I transferred to a D2 eventually. So it's
so I had a girlfriend at the time, and she would come over, and I had a bad game, and I just could not find a way to separate myself from the game. Like those nights were rough for me.
Yeah.
And I started noticing, like, man, it really does affect my relationship with other people. Not that I'm trying to. I really cared. But that anxiety was always kind of there, and kind of coupled with a little bit of depression probably. You know, I'd never actually been fully diagnosed. This is just what I, believe that what was occurring. So I transferred to Azusa Pacific in SoCal. I'm like, okay, I'll see if if my faith in God is real. I'll see if these different things and what will come from it. And hopefully me being more of a part of the team playing wise, that might help some of what I was feeling.
Okay, so the you weren't playing a ton at Eastern?
Yeah, so we brought in like a grad transfer who played 38 minutes a game ahead of me. So I was only getting like kind of the crumbs of that. I had a couple games like against Seattle U. I played like 23 minutes, played pretty well. And I was in line to play a lot more the next year, but it just in my mind, I was ready to go. I felt like I needed to fix some things.
Gotcha.
So I go to Azusa and got big into meditation, bro.
Okay.
And there was like a Buddhist temple nearby campus, and I start learning the principles. I start applying a lot of it.
Just on your own?
Just on my own, man.
Yeah.
Just studied so much of what did that mean? Like, what does it mean to apply those principles of non-judgment, self-love, those, like, what does that mean at a very root level? And I was still experiencing it. Like, I would say even this last year, I was an all-conference pick, but I was in some of the deepest anxiety.
Really?
Like, I could barely move. And I'm still, like, getting some games where, something was assisting me, bro. Because I would still get, like, 20-something points, and I could barely move out there. And like in my mind, I'm like, how is this? Like, how am I doing this? And so that also added some pressure to me because I was like, man, I could be so freaking good.
Yeah.
If I could get over this feeling. But for me, it was like, I didn't know what was causing it, So it was like, you got to figure out the root. You can't just be like, I want to get rid of the symptoms.
Right.
And so now that I've stepped back, a lot of this stuff is coming up, and a lot of this stuff is really illuminating kind of what I want to do. That's why I started the Flow Station.
Yeah.
Really I've been blessed with the mentors that I've had that have really helped me shift from being a basketball player to a human being. That's why I love your slogan, bro. Living for a living. It's like, you got to be alive. You got to enjoy that present moment, and that's what flow really is. And so I've really tried to narrow down what other people's flows are. How can I apply that in different ways so I can be in a better space to when I'm in contact with different people, I can be my best self and give because I've always wanted to be a servant, but I felt like that's always held me back. And so I've even over the past like week after talking to you, I get these insights, 1 or 2 insights from each guest I have on my podcast, and I'll take it, man. And I'll go, you're like, hey, man, like, I can't believe I never write anything positive down in my notebook or whatever,
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And I was like, man, there's so much positive that I've overcome in this area. And I feel like it's my mission to kind of serve others and try to help them tap into themselves more so. And so, my meditation, although it was like 2 hours a day and very structured and very dialed in, I've learned so much from it. And the things that I've learned and the relationships that I've had have opened me up in a different way. And I think it's always, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
If I could take away, that anxiety and be in a better space to play, I don't think I would, because it's opened me up. And I've met guys like you and Bob, and like, to be able to know that stuff, what I truly want to know, which is love and happiness, like I wouldn't change a bit of what has occurred. And so, even just getting back to the love of what we do, that's why I kind of started off with that story of me as a kid. Like, I want to get back to that creative space where I'm not doing it for other people. And I feel like I've gotten slimed by social media a little bit, gotten slimed by the phone use, because of the fact that I've lost this ability to just love what I'm doing for what I'm doing.
Just, you mean with comparison and just kind of getting caught up in that world, or what do you mean exactly?
I don't really know, man. I feel like there's this
slime's a cool word. Like, I like how you say I just don't exactly fully understand exactly your meaning by it.
That's a very good question, man. I feel like slimed in the sense that I had such a deep gift to be creative and visualize different senses for myself that were outside of the stresses of day-to-day life, that I lost because I felt like all that really mattered was kind of the end product of what you do. So when I started training, it was that fear-based. It was like, I got to get my shot right. It wasn't, I love just shooting this ball.
Right.
And so I think that's been my biggest focus, man. Like, how did I lose that? And I feel like social media is a big reason, because you get that offer and you post it out and you're like super geeked about it. But as a kid, like, I set that goal way before social media was around.
For sure.
And so why is that even playing, precedent in what I wanted to do or how I wanted to present that to the world. Like I should have just been so proud of myself.
Right.
And I feel like I've lost that ability at some level, and I'm trying to regain it, which is why the podcast is funny, man, because a lot of it's growing through social media. So it's like, it's my biggest test. Like how do I use this as a way that I still love what I'm learning in the process of doing it. And that's why I still hoop, you know, even though I don't find that enjoyment, I try to test myself. Like, can I create this as a free flow space where I still love it and don't care about the result? You know, I don't know, man. It's a work in progress. And that's why, you know, after talking to you, it's like writing down, dang, some positives of your day, what you got over. Or like 2 days ago, people think it's funny, I just like went and looked at a tree, bro, for like for like 30 minutes, dude. Just like what, and just like stop trying to make my ego. I think in my meditation practice, I was trying to get rid of this anxiety, trying to get rid of what I was experiencing. And
yeah, like we talked, there was a goal in
there's
something
a goal in
to
mind.
achieve. Yeah.
It's the same mentality that I started taking from hoop to my spiritual practice. And I started to notice, I was like, okay, I have great intentions with this meditation practice, but at a very deep level, I'm doing exactly what I was doing in hoop, which made me so anxious and depressed. And so when I went to the park the other day, I was like, okay, this meditation thing, it's not working today. I'm going to stop trying to think that I have to be the reason that it goes away, and I'm just going to see what this tree can do for me. And just like external things, my senses, the smell and the kids in the park and watching them play. And I think when you can get into that space where it doesn't matter what it is, like coming to see you, you know, feeling a little bit of anxiety, and I'm like, bro, just enjoy his presence. And and it doesn't have to be this meditation and this thing. So like life can be a meditation, and I think that's what flow is, and that's why I'm such a nerd about it, and why, you know, I love hearing about other people's flow. So I mean, that's a, you know, long story, but that's just kind of been the main journey of my life, and I've spent a lot of my time trying to figure out what it means and how it can affect other people. And come to find out, some of my best friends deal with the same thing. Some of the athletes that, you know, Percy Harvin comes out, says he's dealing with anxiety.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And it's like, it's so prevalent, you know, in society. And I feel like I am at a place now where I'm starting to learn how to buffer it in a way that's very positive. And my goal is to make it so it's not a bad thing. Like I used to have this like sense, like I'm going to a little house party for one of my high school buddies. He's like, he just moved into a new house and he's gathering some high school friends. And this thought in my head, I was like, I'm going to go in. If I have anxiety, but I'm not going to try to prove anyone I've gotten over it. It's like this weird competition thing. Like I want to get rid of it. So, you know, I'm better now. And it takes away that whole sense of connection. Like, no, man, we're all human. We're all going through it. And I just want to connect with the people that I'm around. And if that relieves what I'm experiencing and that connection, that's the beauty of life, man. And that's what living is.
Yeah, dude.
It's like you're just living life and you're in your space. And so I've had some deep insights lately, the last couple of days, really on this topic.
Cool.
And talking to my brother and going over that, like, I've read so many books, tapped into so many things, and now it's time to release and just to let that all come out and trust that, you know, I'm a good person as it is, and I'm not going to judge the outcome in the space of the day. And, you know, if I feel a little bit of anxiety, I'm just going to laugh it off, make a joke of it, and try to be there and present with who I'm around.
Yeah, man. It's cool to, like I said, we vibed from the jump because of like kind of the openness and being able to talk about this. And like, I feel like I've definitely, like, looking back on my college career now with, you know, transferring a few times, and like it essentially took 6 years, you know, I took a semester off. I gray shirted my first year in JUCO. So not 6, like I was good at school, you know, just the football part I was good at. I just couldn't find the right fit, you know, but the whole point of it was like reflecting on it now. And I was telling this to this high school kid that I was coaching this winter, was like a majority of my college career, dude, I was not happy.
Yeah.
Because as a QB, you're only happy if you're the guy. And it's not like,
That's deep, yeah.
you know, it's not like your receiver where you're running a 4-receiver set. It's not, you know, even a backup running back's getting some burnt. Bro, backup QB, you're only playing if the guy goes down or you're up by 60. And if when you're up by 60, you don't even want to be in. You know, I mean, at least as me as like I had to do the garbage minutes my first year after I transferred to New Haven and the D2 school. Yeah. And I went in garbage minutes, and I'm like, you know, 2 years before I'm playing against Derek Carr at Fresno State. You know, now I'm fucking playing against St. Anselm College in New Hampshire, up 56, handing the ball off 8 times to 200 people in the crowd. You know, and I was like, that's not what I wanted. But you know, I realized throughout this whole thing that, damn, like, I really haven't been that hyped on life in a way, you know, through
that's
college.
Great awareness, bro.
But I didn't realize it at the time.
It's hard. Like, it's hard, bro. We're young.
Yeah.
Super young.
You know, and I probably didn't get over it, or not get over it. I didn't address it. And like head on, because I mean, bro, I've been a stoner my whole life pretty much, you know, and like now at this point now I'm really just trying to use it as like a tool, you know, rather than like a habit essentially. And still that's a work in progress of itself, you know. But you know, in the past, it's like I'd kind of on one hand, I think like smoking saved me in a way, because it let me release and let me not worry about all the stuff that was going on up here, just rapid fire, you know, the spiral of thought. And then on the other side, it screwed me up because I totally masking it, and I didn't address it. And then where, you know, it's just been like this past year where like, okay, some shit you know, in the past, like damn near past, because I mean, bro, I went from 15 until I'm almost 30 now, and it's been fairly consistent, you know. But I'm like, okay, no, I'm gonna just sit with, you know, in the past if something bad would happen, go home, roll a blunt. And now it's been like, all right, let me sit with this and just see where that goes. And it's, I think, been a progressive thing, you know.
For sure.
Where before it was just, like I said, it's a dual-edged sword, because I think it's at certain times, if I don't, like, maybe I go off the deep end, you know, like it could have been a bad thing. But on the other hand, I didn't fully heal, and then I just push that shit down and down and down.
Yeah, you know? Man. I think that's one of the reasons why I said, not that like smoking weed is bad. It like I said, I stayed out of trouble in a sense, that I didn't do those things because I was so in the dew of hoop that it did take. I did not mask anything. I didn't really drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't like try to do that because I was like, oh, it's going to affect my performance. I was that like, everything is cause and effect. If I don't do this, if I don't train like this, I don't deserve to be successful. Which is like so, bro, it's so crazy, like so unfreeing. It's not life, bro.
But bro, at the same time, that's super like respectable. You know, it's like, I mean, from my perspective, because this is how I looked, is I was like, because bro, I was a scholarship athlete, Dean's, you know, 3.5, like I handled all my business, but then I was still getting stoned every night. And so for me, I looked at it as like, okay, I handle all of that. And now I'm okay to do it.
For sure.
It worked kind of, but then I also have realized, like, because of that, I didn't do anything extra. You know, like I'd do a little extra weights or a little extra work, you know, football stuff. But in terms of, man, I've had a desire to do video, write, you know, some kind of creative thing, whether it be video, photo, writing, screenwriting, you know, acting, whatever it may. I've had a desire to do that for a long time, but once I checked off homework and practice, it was time to get high. You know, I like got into that rhythm where it didn't ever allow me to do anything extra, basically. And so then that's why I mean when I say it's respectable, because you're like, I gotta do all this extra stuff.
That's at the time I'm thinking it is respectable in my own head, right? Like I would I'd go to like a pregame at Eastern, and then I'd be like, all right, this is stupid. Like I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna waste my workouts. I'm gonna go run some more hills. Like I'm gonna go up in the snow and run some hills. Like I'm gonna go get some more shots up. And it does give you that sense of like, oh, I'm doing something better. But I think at a very deep level that is very counterproductive in a sense that you just always think you got to do more. So when you're in the game, you never feel like you can release. Like I would just be overanalyzing different things. And so I think my way of coping was working out more. So there's always ways that other people cope. For me, it was like overtraining.
Yeah.
Oh, like I would come home, bro, my freshman year. Every day I would run. Have you ever run in like a 17 or 16? So it's
maybe.
like sidelines in basketball. You run 17 under a minute.
Oh.
It's like the hardest thing.
Oh.
And we used to do 10 in 20 minutes. So you run it. If you have to beat it under a minute, and then you take a 1 minute break. And you run 10 of those. If you miss any, you're running stairs. And so when I got home, I was doing it every day. Like every single day I was running those. And then I would be like, all right, bro, I would say to my buddy, like, all right, we're meeting up in an hour to hoop. And then we'd get back like, oh, let's meet up and do a recovery workout in the pool. And so it was just like, it was my way of coping, bro. It wasn't like a healthy relationship to it. Jeez.
Got you. Yeah, it just... in a way, you couldn't do anything extra either because you were so caught up in it. I mean, it was everything you were doing was extra, but because of you doing it all the time,
wasn't free flow.
It wasn't extra at the same.
It was actually very like guys who I honestly could have probably benefited from drinking more in college. Yeah. Like just like, bro, calm down, dude.
Yeah,
like you're gonna be okay. You're a red shirt, just broke your toe. You can take a week off.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I'd be a red shirt, and I'd go like we'd go on the road, and we'd be in these awesome hotels, and my other two red shirts, they were just chilling, like kicking back, like, bro, just calm down. And I was doing like fucking jump workouts, like in the hallway, trying to find just like ways to work out, outwork people. And like I said, like, yeah, outside looking in, that's a respectable thing, but I think it's a very real addiction as well. Like people that overwork and they never can relax.
Yeah.
Like that also says something, and I couldn't relax with my relationships, different things like that. And the phone thing, man, I think that's also a mask. Like you can get on your phone and just scroll and look at things. And so that was another way that I would use to cope that I wasn't aware of. So I've gone through the depths now where like I've put myself in situations where I just deal with it head on. And that's why this year when I had more time, bro, I'd be meditating sometimes 2 hours a day and just kind of just sit in it. Like, what am I feeling? Like, let me just deal with it. And at the same time, that's how you deal with it. But I was taking that hard work approach. Right. I wasn't actually letting it release. I was like, all right, come up, like let's fight.
You were trying to push that shit out.
I was trying to push it out versus like let's feel it. If your buddy comes in and smiles at you, that could be another way to just alleviate what you're feeling. It doesn't have to be something you do.
Yeah.
It's not always something you do, and that's what I've had to get over. Like, bro, you can be better by just being.
Yeah.
And so the meditation for me was another thing that I just did. Like I would just go do more of. Like, and I felt good about that. I was like, eventually this will pay off.
Yeah.
Versus let me connect to it. What is it telling me? What do I need to learn from it? So that's why these last week, when you're like, bro, write down what's good for you. That really hit me. Because I was like, bro, I'm getting texts from people that really like my podcast. People would text me like, great game. And I'm not like, those are awesome too in itself. But I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking the next thing. And this is another insight real quick. And then, you can take it where you want. But
yeah. No,
my buddy, playing Division II at Azusa Pacific was awesome because it's a great conference. And we played like a couple teams that moved up to D1, so they had great arenas, and like
sick.
we'd have Midnight Madness, which was awesome there. Like it's like a D1 type Midnight Madness. So cool experiences, man. That my buddies would be like, "Oh, bro, enjoy that. Like have fun with it."
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't like I'm not gonna enjoy this. Like, what do you mean? Like I gotta work.
Yeah.
Versus like, man, what are we living for then? Like if you can't find enjoyment in that, like what are you doing?
Yeah,
You're never gonna find it.
The thing you've been thinking of since you were a kid. Yeah.
Right. Or my buddy texted me like today. That's why I brought it up. He's like, bro, enjoy that podcast. I'm like, what do you mean? Like I was like, no, that is awesome, man. I'm about to go on a podcast and just chop it up with one of my boys now.
Yeah.
You know, and like that should excite me. Like when I yesterday I go train kids on Bainbridge Island, and I'll feel a little bit of that anxiety. I'm like, bro, I just laughed at it. I was like, dude, this is exactly what I've always wanted to do. Give back to kids that are really wanting to learn from you.
Yeah.
And they love it. And how am I going to say that this is not something that I should be excited about? And so I think that's like the highest level of consciousness is enthusiasm and love for like what you do.
Yeah.
And that's why the flow for me, an intrinsic motivation of doing the task because you love it and not the external rewards that come from it, and being in that present moment. That's why it's like I've tried to study this for the last 3 years and try to learn from people and really taking it to heart. And I think, eventually it will pay off in a way that I don't even expect, and that people will be able to learn from.
For sure, man. No, dude, it's, as you were saying, the thing about, just enjoying it and getting in your own head, man, dude, I've been like kind of always this way, but now it's like really presenting itself with the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, and I was talking to my mom about this earlier. I was like, the weird, I get so caught up in my own head sometimes. I'm like, I almost think sometimes like, oh, Spencer did this because it's like, it's not that he thinks what I'm doing is good. It's like he pities me almost, it like, put myself in like this ultimate like victim kind of mentality,
Bro, that's deep.
Where I'm like, I know that we get along, me and Spence get along really well, or, anybody I've had gonna have on, I know we get along, and they want to do it because they want to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe to help a little bit, but it's not this pity thing at all. But like, I get caught up so much. Where
is that like a guilt thing?
Kinda, yeah. I don't even, man, like, cause I was like nervous to like, just even ask people.
Yeah.
To come, people like Spence was a little different because I've known him, but I don't know him. But like Tim and Nick and Case, and it just happened so organically.
Mm-hmm.
But like everybody else, I'm like almost like nervous to send these texts.
Yeah.
And they all respond, hell yeah, when?
Yeah.
What time?
Yeah.
And then I'm in my total own mind like, oh, they just feel bad for, like.
Well, it's in a crazy way, it relates to my story a lot, because I think the reason why I trained so much was that kind of guilt. Like, oh, if I don't train, something bad's going to happen. Or I'm not going to succeed, or, it's not okay to relax and enjoy where you're at. And I think it's that same thing. Like when you're in that guilt, that's a lower state of consciousness where you're like, oh, I can't fully enjoy that. There's people suffering, or there's this and that. Enthusiasm, I think, is that bridge. Like when you're in that, like, no, bro, I'm getting people on the podcast, and like, it could be just as serving for them as it is for me. Like, I think it's easy to fall into that rut of thinking that guilt is something that's somehow good. Of like, oh, I'm a better person now because I feel like a little bit of guilt in a certain way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I felt like I was like in a better space because I was like, no, I'm grinding.
Like, no, like I'm sacrificing.
It's like, what does that even mean?
I'm not enjoying,
Like, bro, what does that even mean, man?
Yeah.
Like every time you're in flow or you're in that space, like you're enjoying it the most. Like you're like flying around. Like I've had my best games, like last year, this song comes on. It was like Taste by like Tyga or something. My buddy loves that song. And it's a packed house, and like I see him bobbing his head. I'm like, hell yeah, bro. My heart just starts like opening up to the world. And I'm like, this is why I play, man. I'm finally like in the game. This is why I played as a kid. This is why I love the game. And when I was in that space, bro, it's indescribable.
Yeah.
Like that feeling is why we play sports. It's why we live life. And I think that's why, we find our best states when we're in that, gratitude and we're in that space of love.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, I totally resonate with that because it is easy to fall into that. And we think that that's a good thing. Like, could you please come on the podcast? It's like, no, bro, like this is going to be a great thing.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Yeah. And I do truly believe that. It's just like this weird little mind game, that like, he's, then you get in, and then it kind of goes back to a little bit of comparison almost, and I guess I'm talking a lot about Spencer. It's like this 10-year NBA vet, and who the fuck am I, and why would, but bro, we came here, and I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, bro.
And like, I felt the mutual, appreciation and enjoyment from it. But I was just like, I was tripping out the whole, for a while of just like, oh, is they even like what, because it also, I think, stems a little bit from like, I guess maybe, I don't know, a few things now, bro. It's like and this is a weird one, but so my senior year of college, and I think this is true. I almost feel crazy, but I was nominated. I wasn't one of the finalists, but nominated for the Harlan Hill, which is like the D2 Heisman.
Oh, dope. That's sick.
Yeah, but
bro, that's dope.
But no, yeah, I agree.
D2 Heisman,
I agree, bro. But I didn't even get like our conference that year had dope QBs, and so there was like 3 guys from our the nominations. I think 30 or 40 people get nominated.
Got you.
And then it gets broken down to like 10. And so I didn't get all conference because there were 2, you get 2 other spots. It was this, they had the guy who won the conference, and I think he had the best, second best numbers. And then the guy who had the best stats from the year got second. And then our team had an up and down. I had some good numbers, but had both my number 1, number 2 receiver got hurt by like week 3.
Oh, geez.
And so it was a struggle of a year. We finished 6-5, but that's not even the point. But I almost felt like, and this is a realization I'm having, right? Is like I felt like that nomination for Harlan Hill was like a pity thing in a way, like because it was never announced by the school. Coach never talked about it. And so that's why I say, like, I think it's true. Because I had this thought earlier this week. And so I tried to look it up online. And I can't even find 2014 nominees. I can find the finalists. But there's not I can't find anywhere where it just has the list of 30 that I'm almost like getting in my own head. Like, did I just create that? Like, was this a dream that I had? Like, because it was completely unacknowledged by literally everyone.
Wow.
And so I was like, is this just like a thing? Like, did I honestly, like, when it happened, I asked my coach, like, did you like set it up so that this, like, did you put in a word? Like, how did this how do I not get all conference and then I get nominated for that?
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the start of the like pity thing.
That's crazy, bro. Because my buddy sent me this, like, there's this actual, I don't know what you call it, but I think I was in that state a little bit when I had a scholarship. I think that's part of the reason why I work so hard. I was like, I'll have to earn it, or I have to like to prove my worth, which is good at some level. But at the same time, I was like, I almost took way too much of a humility route. Like, bro, no, you earned that, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, you really earned that. And I think we forget to thank our younger selves. Yeah. Like, some of the deepest practices I've done is just like giving little Will a hug and like patting him on the back of like, bro, I'm so proud of you for being out here shooting in the rain with a ball that's just heavy as like hell and just trying to still get your shots up. Like, you got me here. Yeah. And one conversation that I'll never forget, Jordan Hamilton, I referenced him earlier. He came over and we were flowing, and I was like, man, I want to reframe how I look at these games, and I look at, you know, the perception of how I play, and I want to find a space where I really just love being out there and not worry about the results. And I was like, you know, it's kind of like F me to my younger self if I don't enjoy it. And he's like, yeah, it's F you for many reasons. One reason is like that little kid who played at your little elementary school would have died to put on a jersey at a college with cheerleaders, and like you're coming out in the starting five, and you got the music going. That little kid would have died to do that, and you're just brushing away like, nah, I don't really deserve it. Like, I got to work harder to earn that enjoyment of it. And it really shifted things for me, man. Like, our lives are like, we don't live in that childlike state enough of creativity and just enjoying what is actually here. And it's so hard. It's so easy to get lost in this like grind mentality. And I think that's what ultimately led to me being in more anxious states and me not enjoying basketball as much. And that's nobody else's fault but me. You know, I could blame it on the coaches. I could blame it on the circumstances. Like, I love my coaching staff at Azusa was awesome, man. Yeah. I got to start my last 2 years. I got to play a lot of minutes. I'm an all-conference pick. Everything externally, if you showed me on paper, I would have loved that. But I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have. And that's on me. Yeah. And I think we all can look back and be like, damn, I should enjoy that more. And why didn't we enjoy it more? Because, you know, for me, it's like, oh, I had some quota or some social media deal, external stuff. I don't know where it comes from, but I got to prove it to them, or I got to do something to make myself feel like, oh, I did it. I did enough. Yeah. Validated. Are these people, like, when I transferred from Eastern, you know, coming down to a D2, you're like, oh, I want to prove, like, you know, I'm a D1 guy coming down and still killing. And so it was like, that goes through your head when you're playing. It's like, bro, that is the farthest off of enjoying the moment in the present. Yep. And worrying about stats and worrying about how you perform. And the only person that fucks is you. Yeah. It's so true, bro. Yeah. And I don't know, man. Like, I've wrestled with these ideas, these concepts. I've tried to apply them, but I think the one thing I've come to realize, if you don't deal with yourself, any concept you learn, anything you take in, it's not going to serve you, because it's just going to be it actually will probably cause more anxiety, because you know the right thing and you're not feeling it. And so for me, like, that's been my battle, bro. Like, I feel like I have the right heart and intention to do certain things, but I haven't dove enough into, you know, myself. And which is why this last week's been huge for me to realize, like, this battle that I'm doing, I'm taking that same hoop mentality to the spirituality, and that's just not the way to go. Yeah. And that's not, you know, enjoyment at its, you know, purest sense.
Well, and to go, I mean, it all starts for me, and I'm stealing the Dr. Bob's from your podcast, was like, liking yourself first and then loving, you know, like, worrying, because
100%.
Ultimately that self-love is like huge, and
we overlook that, bro.
It's huge.
We overlook that, because I think this has also been a realization. I love myself when I feel like I am myself, like that will that I know I am, like when I'm flowing and I'm you know, super happy and excited and good to people. But when I'm in those like anxious states, or I'm not feeling that energy, I'm not feeling that, I don't love that kid. That's why I fought it so bad. Yeah. But even when I was driving today and I was coming here, I was like, bro, I'm just going to love every bit of like what I'm experiencing, because I know deep down it's just me trying to be the best person I can be. And if I don't appreciate that, nobody can tell me that they appreciate it, and I'll believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I have to drive, and I'm looking at the trees and the leaves are falling. It's a good drive
up here, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful, bro. Like, the fall here is just crazy. But like the trees, you know, the leaves falling, I'm like, bro, that tree's not judging his leaf falling off him. Like, he just, like, it's part of his process. So for me, like, I don't know, trees have been deep in my awakening. That's good. Just seeing trees, man. Yeah. I don't know. But, you know, loving yourself, man, is, I think it's huge, and we don't do it enough.
Yeah, I had, like, yesterday I was driving back from Redmond, just along East Lake Sammamish, and, you know, it's kind of dark out, but enough light, and you know, I mean, all the houses are lit up, and
Yeah.
the lake is beautiful and everything.
So beautiful.
And you know, one thing I'm always kind of trying to think of is like finding the, you know, extraordinary in the ordinary, because like what made me think while we were driving is, bro, if I was in another country or another city or anything, like this road that I'm on that's fucking right next to the lake with all this cool shit and the mountains and the colors and everything, I'd be like so juiced on it.
Bro, I
you know,
love
like
that.
I would have been taking pictures, looking, and
wow.
But since I've driven that road a million times, you know,
wow.
But I caught myself in that thought last night, and I was like,
wow,
damn, this lake is pretty sick. You know, like
wow.
That's been a thing for me is even, you know, and so trying to, you know, find those like little things.
That's childlike wonderment at its finest, bro.
Like, and today I took a picture of a spider. I don't know if you saw. I was right before you got here, but I posted on Instagram a picture of a spider because we got some cool spiders out here and out on this deck.
Yeah.
And I got like right up now. He's big as hell, and it looks cool with the background. And I'm like, damn, this spider is cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a child thought, you know?
It's like that thing is actually here. I actually got that thought the other day. You know, when I'm that dream of playing Division I and being like going to play at, you know, places like Pittsburgh and those bigger schools, like that's like you know, the childhood dream.
Right.
That's what you envision Division I as. And it's like in that moment when you're so attached to the goal and attached to like, oh, what I got to achieve, you don't look at it with that frame. Like, whoa, we're actually here.
Yeah.
So that's why to me, it's like nature is a very easy way to use our senses of when I'm looking at a tree, that thing is massive, bro. Like that thing is huge.
Yeah.
And I know I'm using trees, but like the lake or something that is in our senses that we can see, that gets us out of our own head, that shows us like we are very small on this earth and there's so many dope things around us.
Well, I just saw today that, I don't know, I forget what country. I want to say Denmark, but I'm just guessing. But one of these countries, doctors now can prescribe nature to people. And there's like some old, I'm going to butcher, I got a lot of like half knowledge, you know, of like kind of knowing stories, but not fully knowing. And like there's some like Japanese kind of belief that it's like once you're in nature, like the more you are, like it changes like your molecular structure in, you know, some way. And by just, and I need to do it more, and I have no excuse because I got, like I said, the trailhead is literally a quarter of a mile right there. It's sick. But you just go out there and walk around for a while, and like you come back feeling better. Yeah. You know, and it's kind of unexplainable in a way. But so it's been, I guess, I don't even know how, roundabout way, it's been dope to connect because, like, I don't know, we all think we're the only one with whatever issue, whatever anything. We all think we're the only one, and with the mental health stuff now, which, like we've said, is like it's actually you're able to talk about it. Yeah. It's been cool, and then like all these weird little connections that you know, like you said after on your podcast, was like long lost brother, bro. Like fucking dude, went from D1 to D2, working with kids in the off season, starting a podcast, spiritual meditation. You know, just it was like, damn, bro. And then like it takes me back to and thinking like, okay, the only reason, you know, I'm connected with you is because I know Mike, or I guess Tyler too would have, I guess Marquis, you know, and then the only reason I know them is because I know Tim. Yeah. You know, and I've created this relationship with Tim throughout the years. Yeah. But the only reason I know Tim is because in high school, my senior year after football got over, one of my best friends was this guy named Jamal Atafau, and he was like the top recruit in Washington for 2009. He went to Washington State, ended up getting into some trouble while he was there. But we were homies, and he just like, hey, oh shit, I got to go to this workout. You want to come? Or I got to go to this workout. Can you drive me or something? And I was always like, bro, I'm not your fucking taxi. You know,
Yeah.
like, okay, well, you can work out. And so that's like how I just showed up one day with a guy. And Tim was like not stoked that I just showed up at all. You know, I mean, shitty looking little white kid, you know. And our group was all like pro athletes, CFL, you know, like top D1, you know. Then he realized that I just played in the state championship and had a good, you know, and I worked my ass off. But I'm just like thinking, and then even go back, you know, I like to do the chain of event kind of thing. And then only reason I knew Jamal was, I think it was like MySpace days still. And
Those are great days.
Dude, I'm a big, this is kind of a cool transition. I'm like a big proponent in like, well, you know, just messaging people randomly and saying what's up. Like, you know, everyone says all the negatives about social media, which I agree there are.
Yeah.
But dude, the amount of little connections I've made
100%,
from random DMs.
Yeah.
And I haven't used it at all for like the female sector.
Got you.
Like not, you know, it's been all like
Just connect
in with homies basically, or like-minded people.
Yeah.
And like, you know, with you, with dude, I did a when I first got my camera, basically I'm first kind of doing some videos. I messaged this dude named Craig Conant, who's a comedian down in Southern California in LA. And for whatever reason, I just liked his vibe, and he was still kind of under the radar. And I was like, hey, bro, you know, and he still had like 20, 30,000 followers, or, you know, I hate that we use metrics like that, but it's what it is. And I was like, hey, bro, you know, like what you're doing. I think you're going to blow up. You know, he's like, he responded in a minute. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. I was like, that was kind of cool. I was like, hey, man, I'm going to be in LA next month. I've been making some videos lately. We should make something.
Yeah.
I'm figuring I'm getting ignored real quick. Yeah, bro, for sure. Within like 3 messages, here's my address, here's my phone number.
Yeah.
And he's super into dodgeball. And so he's like, I play dodgeball on Sunday. I'm like, oh, perfect. Like I have any specialty, which I don't and still don't really, but it was with sports and like workout highlights or
too.
Football. Yeah. And I knew I could impress that way too. And so I'm like, all right, bro, for sure. I'm there. And made this little video with it. And it, like, looking back from a like creative like I only made it maybe a year ago, but it sucks, you know, on my standard, I feel like. But now I got this connection. Yeah. You know, where
huge.
We can randomly mess, you know, like, and who knows what'll come of that. Yeah. You know, because it's not like in 2008 or probably 2007 when I met Jamal, I was thinking in 12 years, Will Ferris is going to be sitting here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you don't know those
next
steps. And so, yeah, that was
that's
little
a great
bit of a
insight,
tangent
man.
right there.
Yeah, because you can really piece back. That's why I said like the injury led me to Bob, and Bob has kind of led me to all this, because this is ultimately, I always knew that there was alternate ways to live life, and I just didn't have a guy to really like speak it into me. And so I think, yeah, those connections, like me getting hurt, me overtraining led me to get hurt, and to meet Bob. And I like what you said too about social media being a good thing as well, because I think the mindless scrolling is kind of where it takes off, and the identification. Like, this is what I said is, like, if you can't enjoy the event without like the post of like trying to get validation from it, I think that's kind of where the things start to get blurred. But the connection piece, that's why Mike Knight has actually spoke on this, Tyler Harvey, there is a lot of positive that can come from it. And like I said, I'm trying to boost my podcast on that. Yeah. And if you can use it in that space, that conscious space, like the decathlete Jeremy Taiwo was going into, like, I only go on there if I use it as a collaborative way to live. I try to consciously put myself not comparing, because I think ultimately a lot of times we go on unconsciously, and you might compare without yourself even knowing. It's like an advertisement to your brain.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, this guy's doing this. Should I be married by now?
Yeah.
Should I have a girl?
Yeah.
Like some of my, I'm 23, but I got like a bunch of friends who are, have kids now. Oh. And I'm like, shit, I'm nowhere close to that.
Yeah. No.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't need to be in a space where that makes me feel less of myself. But if you don't go on consciously, you could lead yourself down that path.
Oh, bro, totally. Like you hit it I'm at the point, I'm 29 now, and surprisingly, I'm trying to think, I don't have, a couple homies are living with their girl, maybe one's married, a couple maybe have kids or so. And like by no means is like that what I want currently.
Right.
Like I'm not like talking down at it at all.
No, for sure.
But like that's just not.
Yeah.
I've said before, like everyone will look at like my life sometimes and be like, bro, you get to live the dream and do this and living in Lisbon and Barcelona and da 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 da. And I go, well, yeah, but then the opposite is like, bro, I got like $1,500 to my name.
Yeah.
I don't have shit.
Yeah.
Like it's not like this is a playing football over there is progressing my career or whatever you want to call it. No, actually I got a girl over there now, but but no, like even though I don't want that stereotypical married with kids that I've seen, you see people doing, like you said, as you get on it and unconsciously, I'm like, a big thing, like I go back to that month or so ago where I was kind of in a, just a funk.
Yeah.
Is like, one of the main thoughts I was having was like, I don't have shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then and a couple of the homies, like one of my best friends from high school now is, I think, making close to like $200 a year. And, but has totally earned it and worked his fucking ass off for it. Some other friends here and there, we had my fantasy football group is 12 dudes from high school.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be in it this year because the buy-in's $200. I'm going to be in Europe for most of the year. It's just not, I don't get to watch the games. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to be out this year. And they're like, well, we don't want to lose you. What if we go back down to 100? I was like, all right, I'll stay in for that. And then somehow it got brought up that we were going back to 200. And I was like, okay, well then I'm just not doing it or whatever. And the one comment on it was like, we're 30, 200 isn't any, it's like, and I'm like, no, I agree. It's not like breaking my bank really. Like I get, but it's just not worth it to me. But then the comment of like, we're 30, even though we're not yet, but like we are, like, made me get into that, like,
somehow you're less valuable now that you don't have that.
Yeah, because I don't.
No, I get that 100% because that's why I don't think I enjoyed my last year of college that much, because it was like I got to set up something for next year. I got to figure out what I want to do, and I have to every single day put myself in the space of like, no, man, I'm very grateful that. Yeah, although I don't have something that's like making me a bunch of money right now, and my other friends might have that.
Yeah,
that's okay. Like I think they respect it even more that I'm trying to start something that's different and like
for sure,
really take a path that's way less structured and try to make some of it. And I think when you're in that like place of love and like you don't like you're really trying to chase after something you enjoy, that's where it all pays off.
For sure. Yeah,
so.
And for you it's been, to that note, my buddy who's making about 200, like, me and him have kind of like best friends in high school, and then just kind of like, you go in and out of friendship sometimes and stuff. But at one point I remember him, like, because I transferred a second time or whatever, and so he graduated like 2-3 years before me, and he's like, bro, why just get done? Like, he's thinking his own way of like get into the real world, establish myself, like he's always been, like
whatever that means, the real world.
Yeah, get it, but get into the business, like pay your dues, and because he did it and it's worked. But then finally we had one like heart to heart one night, and we're a little drunk, and he's like, bro, I just got it, like, it's really cool what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like this maybe after like a year or two of Portugal, he's like, man, it's like I finally realized like you're doing your thing, you know, like, and it's cool. And probably at this point, the real world, all the bells and whistles had gotten a little stale, and realized that it's a grind. And but it was just kind of a cool, like,
that's
heart
deep,
to heart of like, I get you now, bro. You know, he said something along like, I never understood what the fuck you were doing. You know, like I always thought you were dumb. Like, you know, like I didn't get it, but I get it now.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's dope, man.
And it's cool to be able to be on that. But actually this brings me into something I've been curious about with you is like, so after graduation, college graduation, what was like your timeline? Because you graduated, when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2018, and then I had one more year to play. And actually, nobody knows this, but I wasn't planning on actually playing my last year of eligibility. I was so burnt out, man.
Yeah.
So like, because I was starting on a team that made the NCAA tournament, you know, and I didn't have the energy anymore, bro. Like I was like, when I say like I could barely move out there, still somehow functioning, like that's how I'd feel some games.
Huh.
And so I was like, man, I just don't know if I can do it. Like a lot of this is weighing on me. But then, you know, it was like, man, this is it. I have so many great friends. Like my friends there were so cool and so in tune that I was like, man, I can't give that up. And luckily I didn't.
Okay.
And so I went back and I did an online grad year for leadership development. And basically it was like, it's a full load, but I could get it done in like 2 hours for the whole week.
Oh,
and the teachers are, you know, they're expecting you to watch all these videos. I'm not watching any of it. Like I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm just writing the papers, bootlegging it, didn't even buy books. Like I knew I was not going to finish it. I was just going to do enough to stay eligible.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
And, but all in all, I was like, no, this is going to be my cultivation year where I really learn meditation and I really learn the principles. So I'd wake up, man. I'd get whatever homework I had to do done, like, and get it done for the week. And then I was studying every type of meditation. I would go up, bro. People thought I was the craziest kid, dude. I would take a chair and just go up, you know, up to a mountain and just read. And like, I would listen to things. I would listen to like 50-minute meditation talks, and I'd write like word for word what he was saying. So I'd memorize it.
Whoa. And
I was just getting deep in it. So like a lot of these concepts are very like, I can verbalize them well, but they're still very hard for me to apply because I do still have that like ego drive in a sense that I feel like I need to do more. And so that was like kind of my gap period, and I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
so this was just last year.
Yeah, this is last year, and you know, my coaches are like, you should play pro. A couple of my coaches, like, so I had a good year.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't playing well.
The highlights, bro.
I had a good year. You know, obviously I think if I was in a better space, I could have played a lot better, but that's the kind of the ego side of it, right? Like not the spiritual, like I'm learning a lot. And so I did consider maybe going to play pro. And so that was that's what kept me in like a kind of a comfortable space as I've transitioned back home. As of like, I'm telling people like, no, I think I'm going to go play pro. And I was close to leaving to do that. Okay. And go to try out for some teams. And then that's when I, started doing the podcast a little bit. And then I accepted the fact that I don't want to play anymore. I don't, that the only reason why I would go is for, to keep this comfort in the struggle of like never fully enjoying what life is. And so I'm like, no, I'm going to enjoy where I'm at. I'm going to take this podcast as far as I can go. And if basketball is something in my future, I'll let that ride. Cause I do think I still got a lot of energy towards the game. Yeah. I just have to refine that love. And I think if I find that, man, I might go try a league or something down the line, but that was kind of my plan. And I didn't know what I was going to do business wise, but I knew it wasn't going to be a normal deal because I was never going to get kind of caught in that, 9 to 5,
the rat race.
Who knows? I might, but I'm just saying that was not in my plans. I just didn't know what that was going to look like. And, luckily things have opened up to where, I can try to build this podcast, and that's kind of been the journey.
Like I've said, bro, it's been I'm studying you, at times, bro. I'm like, how do Will do the intro? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, like how? Okay, yeah. But then what even like? I've been curious is like why the podcast? What was like the?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question, bro. So when I transferred, I was very externalized in the game, right? I wanted to find my own deal again. And I wrote down in this notebook, this was 2016. I wrote down in this little sheet of paper, I was like, unfiltered goals. Like, what are some things that I want to do that no one can take away from me? And the first goal that I wrote was start a podcast. And that's not like they weren't even big back then.
Yeah.
Like nobody was talking about. When was 2016?
Okay.
And I mean, I'm sure the podcasts were big, but I didn't listen to podcasts.
Well, even now, I mean, some people are into it, but like, bro, trying to explain what a podcast is to my dad, impossible, bro.
Yeah,
he's like, so how do people find it, or what? How will they listen? I'm like, Dad, it's like a radio show without the radio channel,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't even know what that looked like, but I had been studying with Bob a lot. So I was like, my goal is to take what I'm learning from him, and I want everybody to be able to learn it. And that was kind of what I wrote down. I was like, I want to write a book. I want to do this. So I always had this and when I was a little kid, I used to make videos. Like I used to love editing videos and doing that. And so I knew it would be something in that creative space. And I didn't know how that was going to look. And I don't think at that time, I still don't even know if at this time I'm ready to speak fully into people's lives as much as I'd like. But that was my goal. And so I wrote that down. And as I was coming home, that little page slipped out of one of my notebooks. Like I have 30 notebooks filled, man, just ideas, thoughts, like just trying to really attain the things I'm learning. And that slipped out, and I saw it. I was like, bro, I got to do it. And me and my buddy, I remember we did like a little bootleg podcast 2016 in my little room, and we're just flowing on the thing. And I wish I still had it, but It was just something we loved to talk about. So that was the guy that is actually where the podcast studio is. It's his real estate company.
Oh,
and so he's been, I mean, honestly, without him, this thing wouldn't be going, because he's, I mean, I can't afford to like pay for a space or, do that. And, without him, he's been, very encouraging. And we had like a great laugh. I don't know if I told you this, but, when Marquise came to the podcast studio, we were laughing because we were like, dude, we just had an NBA player drive himself 30 minutes to a podcast studio called The Flow Station in a real estate box, and we're talking about in Renton. There's like bullet holes in some of the windows in the other rooms, and I'm just like, we're dying, bro. And that was like, it brought back that childlike juice to me. Like, we can make anything possible, bro. I was a little 6'1" white kid that played Division I basketball on a full ride scholarship. I think we take ourselves for granted, like what we can produce out of ourselves. And like when I saw that, and when we talked about it in that sense, man, I was like, dude, I got to do this, man. Yeah. This is hilarious. Like how these things pan out. And, guys like you coming on, like it just grows organically. Cause I think the intention, kind of back to that story where you're like, bro, if I didn't have this happen, I think when you are intentional and you want to do good things and you want to grow, like life is going to give you those cards to put you in the right space.
For sure.
And I've always been one, and that's the thing that I'll always hang my hat on, no matter if I'm feeling good or bad. I know my heart's like, I want to be the best person I can be. Yeah. And no one can take that from me. Yeah. And nothing, no success or failure. So I think, God, the universe, whatever has been blessing me in that way. Like always kind of led me on the right path, and that's how it's been.
Well, you said it yesterday or day before when I got the camera. Shout out, Nick. Appreciate you, bro. And you were like, bro, that's just showing you that things are going how they should be going, bro. And it was like, I don't know if I needed to hear that, but like, damn, I wanted to hear that for sure, I might have needed to hear it. And
I think we all need to hear those things, man. Like when I get a little, like Tyler Harvey texted me today, like, bro, you're helping people. Like keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It gets me out of my own head. It gets me out of my own way. And like my other buddy, he went on tour with Marky Basie. And his like tour manager or something watched our podcast together. And he's like, now I'm starting to meditate and this and that. He's like, bro, keep doing what you're doing. You're making an impact. And for me to hear that, that's why I loved when you told me, like, write down the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because I just don't do that. My mind, I'm just always grinding. So to be able to, like, write that down, like, bro, people need to hear this. People want to hear this. Just keep doing what you're doing. And it's as simple as, like, bro, how's your day? You know, like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, I believe in what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, too.
Like, Mike Knight, like, I almost started crying, but when I transferred, he shot me a text. And we had been playing one-on-one earlier that day. He's like, bro, I see fireworks like blown off in your life, like always in your corner. And bro, I got that text and we were at like a BP tournament, me and my brother, so I was a little lit. And like, but I started like crying, bro. And I was like, damn, like this means everything to me. Cause I just had lost that juice of like really believing in myself.
Yeah.
And like when you hear that from someone you respect, it does go a long way. So I don't think we can underestimate that too, just with our friends.
No, man. And I try and like I try and do exactly what you're saying of like basically I feel like it's like speaking my truth.
Yeah.
You know, of just whatever I feel and looking for positive thing, you know, giving a little compliment or just how's it going?
Yeah.
Something like that can like little things can really switch people's days around and you know, like you said, is now that I'm in kind of the creative world with making videos here and there, it's like when you get somebody that hits you up, it's like, bro, that video is sick.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, nice. You know, like it's
not like an ego. It's just like, man, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like the work is worth it.
And so I really try and go out of my way a little bit extra of like, if I vibe with it at all, whether it's the shoes someone's wearing, whether it's a sentence they said, whether it's a video, a song, whatever they did, like, and I vibe with it, like, I'm going to try and let you know.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
Yeah.
And one, because it's like, makes me feel good that they're feeling good. But then also because I also know how good it does feel to get that. And I'm, you know, in a weird sense of like by me giving it out, it'll come back to me too, you know? And like I had my one example that sticks in my head of this, like, it was in March. I was in California. I was in San Diego, and I was just on vacation, basically. Go to a beach, do my little yoga on the beach, yoga rebar on the beach, and I was at the time like working on my like going from crow into a handstand, and for whatever day that day, just woke up with a bad vibe. Like I stayed in this shitty, gross kind of hotel the night before that had a weird energy in there. Like the whole morning I didn't feel very good. Some random lady flicked me off in 7-Eleven, you know, like crazy, like, but it was just one of those things where I just wasn't feeling it. I couldn't even do a normal handstand, let alone that one.
Yeah.
And this girl comes up to me and like looking back, I think she was kind of shooting her shot and I should have allowed, but anyway,
you blocked it.
I just respectfully.
You didn't take the.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, are you doing crow or are you doing yoga or whatever?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm trying to get to the press, but it's not really." And she's like, "Oh, well, you know, it looks good. You know, like I was kind of watching. It looks good. Like I just got into yoga and I'm working towards that." And you know, 2-minute interaction. She walks off, and then next one, hit it. Like probably one of my best ones ever. And I kind of get done and I look back like see if she's still looking, you know, and she's actually up, like she had to walk up these stairs and she's up there. She's like, "Yeah, good job." I was like, "That's all you." Like, thank you, you know. And like it made a difference. And,
it does,
you know, and so I know the power it has in a way, you know, and so anytime you can do that, and bro, like you said too, and I was talking with Spence about it, is like we underestimate our power from mental first and foremost. Like, I think we're way more powerful mentally than we're led to believe, but physically as well. And like our words are much more powerful, you know, like this or something like this, you know, you don't know how far it can go. And even if it doesn't go that far, it's powerful in the sense, like, I know it's having a positive impact on me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how it's
at the very least,
be.
That's a win.
Yeah.
You know, if I think, you know, I hope and think other people watch this stuff and will vibe with it. But even if it got 0 views, like, I'm going to feel better after this. So it's worth it.
That's how I've always kind of looked at it. I've told people this. They're like, "Hey man, like, are you thinking about making this a business? Like, have you done this and that?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm trying to learn. Like, this is part of my path. And if that's all that comes from it, that's fine." And kind of going back to that point, like Mike Knight, you know, basketball trainer, like his workouts, man, they always get me flowing. Like I'm always the most confident. I'm the best I'll be after I tune in with him. And I always let him know, because I think nobody gets that appreciation anymore. Like, we're almost afraid to say it. And so, like, I'll shoot him a text like, "Bro, I'm still flowing off that workout." Yeah. And like, he might not need to hear it, but like, just for me to like show that gratitude, I think it assists him in a you know, many ways. Like Dr. Bob, I'll shoot him a text like, "Bro, you're making a huge impact on me." Yeah. Or like my pops, like when I see him working hard, like, "Bro, like, keep going, like, keep grinding." And I'll try to offer those spaces to other people, even if they don't need to hear it. Like, you don't really know if they do or not. Like some of my favorite teammates, they'll pick me up. They'll be like, "Bro, you're the best shooter in the country. Like, keep going, keep going." And when I'm not thinking it, like, they, you know, to have that confidence from them still can kind of get you out of your own head sometimes. So yeah, it is a deep concept. It's very simple, but it's one that can really change a lot of things in a lot of people's days, honestly.
Dude, and it's free.
Yeah.
You know, like, it doesn't take that much effort either. You know, like, man, one of those, like, man, having good manners, like, a little different, but having good manners is free, bro.
Yeah.
You know, like, why doesn't everyone have them? Well, you know, like,
bro, a thought that just came to my head. So, like, one of my old teammates, his name's Tyson. I don't know, Tyson, if you watched this, shout out to you. Bro, he could just pull girls, and he would just be like, he'd go up to him like, "You're so beautiful. Like, you're so gorgeous." And I was like, damn, that just works. Like, just going up and saying what you actually feel. Yeah. It's sometimes all you got to do. You don't have to overthink it. Dude. And so, like, I kind of took that from him. Like, just verbalize what you got to say. Get it out of your way. If it's something negative, positive, just get it out of your own head and move on and be in free flow.
Bro, yeah. But to get on that topic a little bit, bro, like, I've in the last year or so, like, you know, just kind of became comfortable with, like, just being straight up. Yeah. You know, and speaking my truth. Yeah. You know, and for and a big kind of influence for this was I dated this girl real short time. I mean, like, the way my life's set up, it's hard to have something too long, you know? But also in that, I'm going all over, but I've also found that, like, you can have some, like, very meaningful relationships that are short.
Yeah. And it should be that way.
You know, you can still get, you know, I used to always be like, well, I don't want to get attached, or I don't want them to get attached, or it's not going to go anywhere. And so probably, like, cut myself off from something. But anyway, this girl's like, mental health counselor at I probably shouldn't say where, but she is one licensed. And so, like, you know, I joked around in the beginning of us, like, dating and stuff, was like, you're almost like my therapist in a way, you know? And she's like, I don't want you to think that way, but at the same time, like, I want us to be very open. Yeah. And so, like, it was probably one of the first girls that I've ever been just, like,
that's dope,
straight the fuck up with. Like,
I like that. Yeah.
Completely, you know, like, almost probably too much, really, you know? Yeah. And it's like that, like, and I've told her that I've posted about it, like that relationship and being with her, like changed how I view communication, not just romantically, but in general, of like when you really just say how you're feeling and explain why you're feeling that way, or you know what, you know, and you got to do it in the right way.
Right. You don't want to just like bag people or
Yeah,
bog people
or
down with
you're
your issues.
Making me feel this
Yeah.
way, or you know, like, and so, but like once you do that, like even if it's not something you want to hear or you want to say, like if both sides are at least aligned, like it strengthens everything.
Yeah.
That's been
It's very freeing.
a revelation for me,
Yeah.
big time, is like, and then also on the same thing, like I'm gonna speak my truth, and if you don't vibe with it, that's good, because now we're not wasting each other's time.
Yeah.
From, you know, everybody, you know, if I'm speak my truth and Billy doesn't like when I'm doing that, okay, good. Me and Billy aren't supposed to have a relation of,
Yeah.
you know, there's a reason for us not aligning.
Yeah, and I think at a very deep level, if you're not honest, especially with the people that you're very close with or your close friends, like you're doing them a disservice in a variety of ways, because like you might hear the thing you need to hear from somebody, but you don't have that respect for them, or
Right.
you just don't have that. Oh, that truth does resonate with me. But like a good example was I met Ryan Appleby this summer, and I grew up watching him hoop at UW, and so I had respect for him as a player, and you know what some of the words he gave to me that I've heard before, I've read in books, like I know that they do apply to me. But hearing it from him really is like a wake up call. And if he hadn't like told me the truth, even though it's a little bit uncomfortable, I wouldn't be in the space I am today, which is better than I was back then. And so I think we do, you know, our friends a disservice, especially if they respect you, to not tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, telling your truth is huge, man.
Yeah, it is. And this is actually this just popped into my head, is like kind of going back to the like weird, like, and I'm curious if you ever get this, is like, you know, because of social media and like Instagram and stuff, and like there's a lot of like fake gassing someone up in a way.
Oh, so much, bro.
You know, they're really right. Okay,
bro,
big time, right? Like a real fake, like, you know, I hate.
Bro,
I use the
about.
fire emoji as like a serious thing, but sometimes, you know, just what I can't even think of really, but
bro, I can't.
people talking about whatever,
Yeah.
gassing people up
Yeah.
that don't deserve to be gassed up.
Or they're not really even homies. They're just trying to get attention themselves.
Yeah, they're just exactly, you know, it's like this weird thing. And so I think going back to like the thing of like the pity thing of like, sometimes even when someone will say like, oh, cool video or cool whatever, then I get even in my head, no, but then if it kind of seems like, oh, it's like one of those fake gassing me up kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, and so I wonder, like, have you ever experienced that with like I mean, I guess people who are telling you it like truly are like powerful to you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I have, and off camera, I'll probably talk about some specifics, but like, for the most part, I'm not trying to put out stuff to get views.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put out stuff that I think is of value.
Right.
So like, I'm not bringing guests on just to get views.
Yeah.
Like if I feel like it's a great conversation and I feel like it might help someone, I'll put it out.
Yeah.
But I'm not, just because you're a big name, I'm probably not going to just like invite you on or throw you on there. So in that sense, like I'm not like necessarily looking for that. I know I probably could get those type of deals if I was just posting stuff on, you know, the external stuff, you know, that isn't really like what I'm trying to push, that internal awareness. But yeah, there is definitely people that will kind of gas it just to kind of like, I've had some people DM me and I'm like, bro, I know you're just trying to like get on the podcast. Like they're like, great one there. And I'm like, dude, this guy he just wants to come on.
Really?
So I've had some of those that I can just see through it.
Yeah.
But I think with you, like you put up this like pizza story, And I was dying. And I was like, bro, I got to show this guy some love. They're kind of like, bro, he like, this is hilarious. So I just sent you the laughing thing. And then that's how we kind of connect. You're like, bro, we should vibe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dope. Like, I didn't think, it didn't come across at all like, oh, this guy just wants to come on and get some hits.
Yeah.
There are times when you just know.
Yeah.
And so I've experienced that, and that's okay. Like, it's cool. Everyone's trying to get their, their name out there a little bit. But, I mean, that's kind of what I've tried to move away from with the social media world, and try to use it as a place to where, okay, if someone needs to hear it, like, I'll send it to them, and let them know.
Yeah.
But if not, then I'm not going to do it just to get my name out there. You know what I mean? Or just try to be like, I know this guy. Like, this guy had 25 points in the NBA, and like, I can post like, oh, that's my boy, or something. Like, somehow you are better because you know him or something.
For sure.
If that makes sense.
For sure.
I try to not be in that space.
For sure. Yeah.
So
no, it's agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And it's like, because you see, when you see it, you know it. Yeah. And like, honestly, bro, like, I did vibe with everything you were doing, and and I don't know if when I hit, like, just to be honest, when I hit you up, I hadn't seen like a full episode yet, but all the clips, I'd seen like everything from that, and I was like, I'm with it, and with Mike and Tyler, I'm like, if they're with it, then
there's a lot of connections.
Be a good situation. And my thing was really, honestly, I was like, I want to, because I think I told you this, I was like, I'm going to start the podcast. Yeah. I was like, let me get a little insider look at it, and because I honestly was planning on starting like after we did ours. And then it just so happened that Kaysen and I threw some routes one day, and I was like, bro, what music do you listen to? He's like, bro, I don't listen to music anymore. I just listen to podcasts. I was like, you want to do one? He's like, yeah. What are you doing Monday? And like, he's like, what are you doing Monday? I was like, let's do it.
Let's get it.
And so it's funny how everything
works.
I
mean, I don't think it's a bad thing though. Like, collaboration is great, like, to try to boost different things. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It's all in the intention, honestly.
Yeah. And I forget what I saw, but like, it's the difference of, some guys, I think it's cool that we've really hit it off, I think, in a way, because it's like, some guys would be like, view it as competition. Right. And be like, and you might have that thought of like, man, I don't want to put, a competition rather than collabing. And
we're coming full circle. Finish your sentence.
Yeah. And so, because like, I mean, I'm going back to some Gary Vee quotes too. And his thing is like, I want to build the biggest building, not by fucking smashing everyone else's, but that's by deep. Just building the biggest. Yeah. And if someone builds one bigger than mine, then good job, dude. Yeah. You did it. And so like, that's what I've been like I said, is I've just been, if I vibe with it at all, I want to let them know. And then, because if we can combine powers, man, it that's where it really takes off,
No, and the reason why I said we're coming full circle is it's kind of like that space where you were as a college quarterback. Like, back in that space when you're in those like competition days, you're not seeing it as that. You're not seeing it as this guy's pushing me to be better. You're like, this guy's ahead of me, or like, I need to take this guy down. And I can totally resonate with that in the hoop world, because you're looking at guys like, oh, I got to pass this guy up. If I'm too nice to him, then I'm going to let him get ahead. Yeah. Versus like, bro, as a little kid, even like, let's say 2016, if I was asked to come on a podcast, I'd be like, bro, that's so awesome. Like, this is so cool. That's the space I'm in right now. Like, bro, this is dope. Like, I appreciate you having me on. Sure. But it's like, that's how it should be viewed. It shouldn't be viewed as like some competition. And I think in a basketball sense, if I were to view it differently, I would have viewed all my teammates as like, I grew up wanting to play with guys like I watched in college, like as a little kid that I admired, and I get to do that now. So I actually shot like some of my teammates texts last year, like, bro, I'm so grateful to hoop with guys like that are as good as you. Yeah. Just send them that text.
That's cool.
Because it's like, yeah, they might be fighting for minutes with me, but like, these guys are great basketball players that I, would have looked up to as a little kid. That's awesome. You know what I mean? So it's tough, bro. Like, honestly, it's tough. Like, everyone's competing in a sense. Like, if your podcast, like you can't listen to all these podcasts in one day.
Exactly.
So at some level there is competition externally, but to me it's like, bro, like I'm not in that space anymore. I'm like, bro, if the message gets out and someone hears what they got to hear, I've done what I got to do. I don't need to push it farther than that.
Yeah, and I mean, this can be applied for everything, but
Right.
in reality, you know, like
100%.
it's like, you know, from, and I mean, you got a leg up on, but still, so this is like the fifth one I'm done, you know, with somebody, but like still it'd be, you know, if someone sees you from this one and it gets you or vice versa, like we both won.
100%.
You know, there wasn't a loser
Yeah.
or anything. And like I think that could be like projected way more into just real life, like we've been talking about, is like, and it goes back to, I mean, competing is comparing in a way.
100%,
you know? And
yeah.
so like just getting out of that comparison.
Competition is very ego based, I think, in a deeper sense, because like you don't think you're as valuable. You got to beat this person. To whereas like there is some healthiness like to the competition side.
Yeah.
But I definitely think like the little snippet I posted today, where he's like, if you break the barrier, you break the barrier for someone. You don't just break it for yourself. Like the 4-minute mile, he's broken it for all these different people. And I view that in the same sense of like my internal deal, like my anxiety. I feel like if I, you know, break through that in a certain way, I clear the lineage for all these different people and my old family, and I clear that out. That's how I look at it. I don't look at it as like I'm less than something. Like this is just my deal that I got to get through, and when I get through it, I open doors for other people. I'm not, and that's why I brought up that like that sense of that party that I'm going to tomorrow. That I don't want to go in with like, oh, I've gotten better now. I've gotten better than my old self. I got to show that. It's like, no, man, my whole deal was to open up the door for people to share their, you know, inner struggles and to be able to be okay with that. And if I'm not in a space where I'm okay, just like this is how it is now presently and not as a competition, then I'm so far off my own like intention.
But was there, when you're saying like to show that I'm better now, was there like did something happen or like, or just all in your own mind?
Oh, in my
like,
own mind, not like
was there something that like
no,
realized that you were worse to get better? Is, you know what I mean?
No, I think it's more of the sense that I always had I always had regrets in certain ways, like I could have played a lot better in this game. That's what ate me up alive. Is like, I could have played better if I was just like wasn't injured or was this. So it was kind of like a prove it, like I am better than what you just saw. You just couldn't see it because of X.
Okay.
So it's all internal. It's not me thinking like, oh, someone beat me down and I got to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
It's just in my own head. Like, and I think it is that ego based. It's like, I want to seem like I'm invincible and I'm this guy. I'm not. Like, I'm just not. Yeah. And I'm just learning like everybody else. And I think the more that we try to think that we know everything, the farther we get off from like our actual genuine path and connection to what we're meant to be. And so I don't know, man, it's very tough. You got to, like Bob says this really well. This guy's like the most wise dude I know. Yeah. But he lives every day in that beginner's mind. And that's why the Zen Mind, Beginner Mind is like such a deep, influential book, because it's not about what you know. Like when you take that concept away and you just try to stay open and fresh and you live in that space, like you're going to be in flow more and everything's going to be more natural. I think it's just our ego wants to be the reason why we're better and we know this stuff. It's not a free living space, but we think that's how we got to survive. And that's why it is like a competition in my, like that inner struggle is competition. It's not like love at a deep sense.
Yeah.
Cause I want to like the same sense of like, in high school, I felt like I could have been, you know, more in tune or more present with people. That is the case, but nobody would have known. Nobody knows that I've dealt with anxiety. This is the first time I've ever like talked about it openly. Yeah. And they would be like, bro, what? Will does? Like no chance, bro. I never let it affect like the external thing. So it does. Like I do have to buffer that. So yeah, I mean, the long-winded answer of that, but just, man, it's difficult. You got to always ground yourself in that space of presence, I think.
Yeah, it's like you say, is like, you know, I'm always kind of known as like the always happy guy.
100%.
you
Yeah.
know, and I'm sure you can relate. And then it's like if someone hears like, oh, you had a
Yeah.
I forget who I was like, this is during this little funk or whatever. I was like, yeah, man, sorry, I've just been in a funk. Like, I didn't text somebody back or something. And then
Yeah.
hey, sorry, I didn't text you back. I've been in this funk. And they're like, you were in a funk?
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't even know.
And they're like, oh man, like, no worry. Like, thanks for telling me, no worries.
Yeah.
But, and it's just,
It takes the pressure off.
it does. And we're at a point now too, where like we all realize like nothing is flawless. Like reality TV isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Like the social media, what you see isn't, it's all just highlights for the most part, And so like I'm just trying to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
Like people can connect with that because it's real.
Well, I feel like I could have come on here and I could have probably done a podcast and talk about all my accomplishments in basketball and easily have done it and not opened up at all and done nothing would have come from that.
Right.
At all. And that's
Yeah,
not my truth at all.
It would have felt good for the like minute or two, but
so I'm completely past that point. I know what that feels like to just seem okay externally.
For sure.
So, I mean, that's kind of been the mission now, is just boosting that openness, that it's okay. That's why I really appreciate you having me on this, because I think it's important for my viewers to even see like that I'm a human too, like that I'm trying to I'm not trying to seem like the guru.
Right.
I'm just like a guy who's learning, tuning in. Maybe I've read and experienced different things, but I'm definitely on the path with you.
Right.
And so it is cool to open up and like be able to share my story. So definitely appreciate that.
Dude, yeah, no, that's what it's like, man, I like hearing everyone's story,
Yeah.
because like it's all related. Once it gets out in the open, it's like, oh yeah, I did that. You're saying D1 to D. I mean, we have some weird connections, some really weird similarities that I haven't met a lot of people that I'm like, yeah, me too. Huh. Yeah, and like when I was on, when we were doing yours and you were like, yeah, and I'm fluent in Spanish. I'm like, because I'm not fluent in Portuguese, but like I'm definitely conversational and like can hold my own when I'm there. And so actually like that's one thing I wanted to talk a little bit more about too. And then we'll probably wrap. We're at 2 hours right now.
We're hooping.
Flowing, dude.
We're hooping. I know. I'm in a flow.
Flowing, dude. Yeah, we're flowing. But like, so I mean, how often are you speaking Spanish now? Like, what's your?
So when I got to middle school, it goes down to 2 classes through that program, and then in high school, like my freshman year, I'm taking classes at UW. So like it was college
Spanish classes at UW.
Yeah, but are just like those courses are at our high school. So we're in separate Spanish classes. So I was done with my college language by like sophomore year. And so I was done with that. And then I didn't take it as serious. Like I just didn't, I don't know. My life revolved around hoop. So I was like, I'm focusing on understand. Hoop. So I didn't really care too much about it. I didn't see like the practical side really. But now I definitely see it, man. Like I'll just start talking. Like if I'm going on a walk and I'm having some internal dialogue, I'll try to shift it to Spanish. Dude. Or like I'll sometimes like to start my meditations, I'll count to 100 just to keep my focus, and I'll do it in Spanish, just to kind of keep my. It just changes. It gets me out of my own head, man.
For sure.
It changes how I'm seeing the world, and then I've had some cool experiences. Like in Azusa, it's a lot of Spanish speaking people.
Yeah.
So I did this parent night for some class that I had to do for like Spanish speaking parents, and their kids go to this daycare, and the parents work so hard, and like it was a parent appreciation night that we had to set up for them. Okay. Part of the class, and I go in there, my group mates, I'm just this goofy kid that's like, they don't think I work hard in class or whatever, and I just like take over. I'm just speaking Spanish to all the ladies, and they're like, and the classmates are like, the fuck, Will speaking Spanish like to these like a bunch of moms, and so it's cool, man. It's cool to bring it out of the bag and like have that, and it kind of be like a conversation starter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to use it a lot more now.
Yeah, man, I've enjoyed the second language, or even just like when I was in Poland, just learning a couple words here and
Yeah.
there. You know, just Polish is crazy, but like just being the second language, you said, is like you see the world in a different way, in an obscure kind of way, you know.
100%.
But it like there's just certain things or certain phrases that like I only think an example is like in English I very rarely say of course. You know, but in Spanish and Portuguese, you know, claro.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so like I'll catch you know, like someone will say something and I'd say, in my head I'm saying claro, you know, but I don't say of course in English, or, you know, like weird little things like that just like change just.
Well, it allows you to fail a little bit. I think that's kind of what I've lost. Remember, like what I was saying is like I lost my creativity, and that's what I loved about life, is that space. When I lost that, I lost pretty much everything. Like I lost the joy for what I do, and I think Spanish allows you, or just any language, you can go into a creative space where it's out of your like normal element, but you can make mistakes. And I think when you are afraid to try something new in whatever you're, like in football, if you never want to, you know, try a different skill in those games, I think it becomes very ego based, because it's like I just want to do what I know is going to be successful. Right. I'm afraid to fail. So that's why I'm trying to get into poetry a little bit, or like I want to get into some music, maybe like learn the piano. Just something that's like different, out of my comfort zone, that I can fail and try something new. So yeah, it's important, bro. I think it's cool to have that. It's dope that you have Portuguese too.
Yeah, and so then once I get to Barcelona, I mean, like my Spanish is like good enough, you know. Puedo hablar un poquito, you know, like I can.
That's my go-to.
Yeah, like I can.
Un poquito, just so like they don't think I'm like nice.
Yeah, and you know I can like order some food and, you know, do that kind of like small, say how you're doing, and you know, but it's like it's funny when, or I guess first thing would be like you said, it is like, or something along the lines of like, for learning a new language, especially for me, you had a little different, but for me at like a grown-up age, like you have to be okay with sounding stupid.
Yeah.
Because when you're first learning a language,
100%.
like you sound like an idiot, and you know you sound like an idiot. Your accent's bad, everything's bad, and people laugh at you and don't really want, you know. And so you have to like get over that, like whatever, you know, subconscious thought or conscious thought of like, I don't want to embarrass myself.
I need to sound perfect.
Yeah,
I need to sound okay.
You know, and just getting out of that, and like, you know, so I have so much more like appreciation for people that have learned English as a second language.
100%.
You know, and then they start speaking, and I'm sorry. I'm like, bro, don't trip on if you say she instead of he, or whatever. Like, I can figure out what you're saying. Like, at the end of the day, the goal is to communicate.
Yeah.
And so if I understand the point you're trying to make and you understand what I'm trying to say, then if the grammar's not perfect, so be it. And then on top of that, you know, is like, bro, I have a few connections now that I've only made because of that language.
Yeah.
You know, the other person didn't speak English well enough for us to connect, and I spoke Portuguese just well enough to make that connection. But I got, man, in Lisbon, I had a little cafe that I always went to that was just like a locals only kind of cafe, where I'd show up, and me and the guy who worked there, Antonio, man, we'd just talk. I'd go there after my Portuguese class, and I'd just practice all the shit I'd learned, kind of. And he had just good enough English that he knew like words. So if how do I say cup, or, you know, whatever, we could piece together the puzzle. And bro, we'll still Facebook message every now and then. Dope. To, you know, like that I'd never have met this dude if I didn't
100%.
And so
that's awesome.
It's been a cool thing. And so once you said that, I mean, like I said, we've had all these weird little kind of like, damn, that's sick, bro. That's cool. It's and at the end of the day, I mean, I've learned that like we all say the same thing. Hello, how are you? good evening. We just use different words and sounds and noises basically to say those things. And so it like, I guess, circles back around of like, we're all different yet very, very similar in the same sense. And so, yeah, man, let's kind of wrap. The one thing though, now you just sparked this idea for me, and so you're going to be the first to kind of do it. And I'm going to kind of see what it goes, but like to go off the living for a living thing. Yeah. And let's wrap it up because
we're cooking.
But I mean, we could. I think I'm running out of memory.
We're always cooking
too. Yeah, or battery or memory. I don't know what goes first. But you said you interpreted the living for a living thing of like how are you living or whatever. Yeah. And so I think a question I want to start asking guys is like, what's the definition of living to you? I'm kind of biting you. I'm kind of biting you a little bit too, because you always ask for people's definition of flow. So
right, yeah,
I gotta give credit to,
Yeah, no, 100%. Of living, man. I think it's an ability to be, and in that being, you find what you love to do creatively. I think that's where I have had to relearn. Relearn how to just be okay living. And I think when you're in that space of being, that's when you can be the most creative. You can be your best self. And that's very difficult to do because a lot of times it is that guilt. It is that fear that is why we do so much of the stuff we do. So for me, it's really refining that. I think that's why, a lot of athletes that finish their careers, they'll be in tough spaces because they haven't dealt with the things that they needed to deal with. And for me, it was like, I'm a good hooper. So like that stuff is like, that's okay. Like I don't have to deal with the reason why I, broke up with this girl and, had to transfer and this and that. So yeah, man, to find a space where you're okay being and then following what you love. Cause if you're doing that, I feel like you're not in those spaces of doing acts out of fear, doing acts out of guilt, doing acts out of shame, and your compass is going to guide you down the right path.
Beautiful.
Living for a living, baby.
Beautiful. Living for a living, baby. How you doing? Yeah, man. Bro, appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
As always, I'm looking forward to.
When are you taking off?
Monday.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
We might need to get you on the flow one more time.
Bro, I'm down.
I don't. Damn, Monday. That's crazy.
We'll figure it out. And yeah, speaking of that, check out my guy. I'm gonna plug you super. I'm gonna do an intro just after all, but I'll play. But my guy. Flow Station Podcast, at Flow Station Podcast, Instagram.
Yep, at Flow Station Podcast. Twitter's the Flow Station. And
okay,
then,
the Flow Station.
The link tree's got kind of everything.
Okay, gotcha. And give them the line. What is it?
Helping you find your unique flow by bringing on guests who have tapped into theirs.
Yeah, man.
So we're bringing on guests who are in their flow.
It's
like my guy.
It's some cool stuff, and man, super grateful.
Yeah, no, grateful for you, bro. Blessings on your new journeys and all that. I know we'll be in touch, and I'm going to try to travel as well. You've inspired me there.
Yeah, we got to, dude. I mean,
we'll link.
You got no excuse now. You got
I know.
Couch in Barcelona. You fucking speak Spanish. We'll get the
I'm gonna get out.
International pods going,
bro. I'll get out there. Trust me. I just gotta take care of a few things here, and then I'll be out there. But I appreciate you having me on, man.
Likewise, man. Appreciate you.
Cool.
Much love, man.
Oh yeah.
Outlined and done my share of running to cope when the world feels uncomfortable. But now making something from nothing is how I confront my dysfunctional.